What's up, a Cinema Shogun here, and one of the main questions I've been getting since covering the Quinton Simon case is where are Quinton's siblings? Are Quinton's siblings okay? If you don't know, Quinton has two siblings, Zane and Sky. They all share the same mother, but they all have different fathers. And people have been worrying, and rightly so, that they may still be in that house with that family, but luckily, that is not the case. Now, we were told earlier this week that these two kids were in an undisclosed location with a family member. Well, we now know that these kids were taken from the home on October 12th. And it looks like Billy Joe, the grandma, might be in some trouble. Now, before we get into all of that, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell so you can be notified of all the updates in this case. Drop a thumbs up and go ahead and let me know how you feel tonight down in the comments below. And also let me know how you feel about this case. Now, going forward, I just want to say this. God does not like ugly. And yesterday night and today, there has been some weirdo YouTubers, one in particular, that just looks like a corpse. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if she had bodies stashed in her wall. Maybe that's why she hears all those voices. But these weirdo YouTubers have sent people to attack the babysitter. They've been defending Billy Joe, the grandma, and they released all of this information about the babysitter's past and all of this useless stuff for no apparent reason, just to be ugly, just to be hateful. None of the information they released helped baby Quinton. In fact, I find it weird that these people who claim to, we care about victims, but they're taking the side of the family who neglected baby Quinton. Should tell you a lot about these people. But anyway, God doesn't like ugly. And as all of this stuff is spreading and people are spreading the babysitter's record as if a parking ticket or her getting pulled over without a seatbelt on should matter to the case, turns out some other stuff started leaking online. Now, I'm not sure where this originally came from. I believe it was True Crime Replay, or at least they have water splashed this document. But it turns out kids are taken away. They've been taken away, and it looks like they're going to be, for lack of better words, part of the system, at least until their fathers can figure out a way to get their kids. What we're about to do is we're about to dive into this document because it reveals a few things. Some things that I've known, some things I didn't know. And I think a lot of this may come as a shock to you all. So without further ado, let's dive into the documents. Complaints in an affidavit have been filed in this court indicating that pursuant to OCGA, a bunch of numbers, law enforcement removed the above referenced kids from their home on October 12th, 2022 at approximately 8:30 p.m. And an officer of this court authorized the removal of the kids from the home and the placement of the kids in foster care because the kids were in imminent danger of a use or neglect if they remained in the home. Removal of the kids from the custodian was and remains necessary to safeguard the kids' welfare. Continuation of the kids in the home and or returning the kids to the home would be contrary to the welfare of the kids, and the removal of the kids is in the best interest of the kids because a voluntary, that word is hard to make out, care agreement with relatives became insufficient to ensure the safety and welfare of the kids during a child death investigation. The kid's sibling, Quinton Simon, was reported missing on October 5th, 2022. Based upon information obtained in the course of the missing child investigation on October 12th, 2022, law enforcement notified DFCS and the family it was proceeding with a child death investigation. The kids and the sibling were living in a home with the mother, the Yunkin father, and the maternal grandmother prior to the siblings' disappearance. The mother is a primary subject of the death investigation, and other household members as well as relatives continue to be investigated for protective capacity. The mother is a chronic, unrehabilitated substance abuser of I'm not supposed to say certain words on YouTube. A user of booger sugar and cannabis. She screened positive for and admitted to using booger sugar and THC at the birth of the kid Sky. She has continued to screen positive for booger sugar. The mother has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder and anxiety disorder, for which she has been receiving ongoing mental health treatment. The maternal grandmother has a permanent guardianship order as to the child Zane pursuant to documents from the juvenile court of Burke County. The maternal grandmother failed to provide adequate supervision for the child Zane by leaving the child Zane in the home in the care of the mother, a person the maternal grandmother knew or should have known was unfit to provide proper care while the maternal grandmother traveled out of state. The Georgia Department of Human Services through the Chatham County Department of Family and Children's Services made reasonable efforts to prevent the removal of the kids from the home and to make it possible for the kids to return home, including consulting with law enforcement, utilizing a voluntary kinship care agreement during the missing child investigation, attempting to verify the maternal grandmother's claim to permanent guardianship of the child Zane and the sibling Quinton, confirming with the Cherokee Nation the children do not qualify as Indian children pursuant to the Indian Child Welfare Act, reviewing Child Protective Services history from other counties, as well as ongoing family preservation services case. Previously providing the mother with substance abuse, rehabilitation treatment following in utero drug exposure of the child Zane, providing an updated substance use assessment and rehabilitation treatment following in utero drug exposure of the child Sky, and requesting screening of the mother. It is therefore ordered, pursuant to OCGA 1511-135A, that to protect the kids temporary legal custody of the above referenced kids be transferred to the Georgia Department of Human Services through the Chatham County Department of Family and Children's Services, pending further order of the court. It is further ordered the custodian is authorized to obtain physical examination, ordinary medical care, and such additional medical treatment and care which, in the opinion of the licensed physician, requires prompt treatment for the care of the kids. The preliminary protective hearing shall be held on October 17th, 2022 at 11 a.m. The parties are hereby directed to appear at said hearing. It is ordered this 14th day of October 2022. Whew! A lot to unpack there. One thing I'm going to say right now, and I don't want to dwell on it too long. As they mentioned, Leilani, the mother, deals with bipolar and she's getting mental health treatment. I can tell you right now what's going to happen when she is locked up. She's going to plead that she's insane. She's already told friends in the area that she plans on doing that. So let's go ahead and be prepared for that because it's going to happen. Also, man, I don't know where to begin. I don't know where to begin here. Do we begin on the fact that she tested positive for booger sugar while she was giving birth to little baby Sky, yet she was allowed to go home with little baby Sky? Do we talk about that first? Or do we talk about the fact that it looks like the grandmother is going to be held responsible for some of this? At the very least, we know that the kids have been taken away. And I absolutely hate seeing kids become part of the system. You know? And from what they've said, they have done everything in their freaking power to try to keep these kids at home with the family. But for Christ's sake, what can they do at this point? It's clear they were neglected this entire time. Billy Joe lost custody of her kids. And now she has custody of her kids' kids. But now she lost custody of her kids' kids. So not only did you lose custody of your kids, you lost custody of your kids' kids. Now, I believe in second chances. I believe in not judging people about their past. That is why I've been sitting here, mouth zipped about Billy Joe and about Leilani. I can promise you, I could make 15 videos right now going over the stuff that I've heard and the stuff that I've seen and the stuff that I know. But you know, that's not the type of person that I want to be, and it's not the type of content I want to make. Yet, people felt the need to dig up the babysitter's past and to weaponize their subscribers to go attack this babysitter. And apparently Billy Joe was on board with all of this, and now look where we're at. All of y'all are stuck, looking stupid, with pie on your face as usual. You look stupid in every case that y'all cover, yet people continue to think that y'all may possibly be a valid source for information when it's clear y'all have never been. Now, Leilani was on probation. The fact that she failed these tests and was testing positive for this stuff while on probation, while giving birth to a child, where's the probation violation? You know what I mean? Like, what? It blows my mind the stuff that people are able to get away with when we have other people locked up for such petty stuff. For such petty stuff. Just think about it. There are people sitting behind bars right now for the lamest thing you can think of. Meanwhile, this lady who killed her child and threw him in a freaking landfill is out here running the streets, or possibly running the streets. No problem. Never mind the fact that I just gave birth while high on booger sugar. That stuff doesn't even stay in your system long, folks. Like, she must have took a bump right before she gave birth. Oh my God. I am sorry, but I am just... I am so disgusted by the type of stuff people do who have kids. But as I'm going through these documents, or this document, it makes me have mixed feelings, because it's like you don't want this to happen to the kids and them to just be caught up in the system. But you know damn good and well, they don't have no business going back over to that house. And Billy Joe didn't have no business having custody of those kids in the first place, if you want me to be honest. So we have a hearing now on October 17th at 11 a.m. I'm curious, who do they need to show up at this hearing? Can any of you all clear that up for me? Is it just going to be Billy Joe that needs to be there? Or does Leilani need to be there too? That's going to be very telling. 2 days from now, we should see them leaving the house, right? So, I guess this may have to show their hand. They may have to show their hand, and we'll see. Is Leilani really at the house or not? I'm really interested in seeing if they would show up to this. Honestly, in a weird way, I'm excited because it's like they figured out a way to pull these people out of the house. But at the same time, maybe it will be over Zoom call. Who freaking knows? But October 17th at 11 a.m. Keep that in mind, everyone. Now, going back to what I was saying, we could go over the fact that Leilani had issues with substances. YouTube doesn't like me talking about that. And I think we all get the idea, right? We all get the idea that she liked to partake in some things that maybe she shouldn't have been partaking in. And that she liked to partake in those things while pregnant. Not just while pregnant, but like all the way up until the day of birth. So there were some mistakes made there. I'm not so sure Sky should have ever went home with this family at all. But it is what it is. The grandmother, however, is the one that had custody. So when we're looking at these issues with these kids, at least right now, this is reflecting more on the grandmother than the mother herself. That's what everyone needs to understand here. Like, this is against the grandmother. Custody was taken away from the grandmother, not Leilani. Leilani didn't have custody. So when they're pointing fingers and they're not even looking at Leilani. Leilani is almost an afterthought in this case. This is about Billy Joe, the grandma, who, as according to them, should have never, ever, ever left these kids behind with the mother. But she did. So what will happen to her? Who knows? Another thing that was revealed in here, which is very interesting, other members of this family are still part of the investigation. Billy Joe herself is still being investigated. They've named Leilani as the sole primary suspect. We haven't heard anything about them investigating anyone else. This document right here proves that other relatives, let me see, give me a second. Other household members as well as relatives continue to be investigated. Other household members, including relatives, continue to be investigated. Now, when they say other household members, they're talking about Danny, the boyfriend, because he's not a relative. And I guess maybe the stepfather or the granddad. I don't know who the hell he is. So they're talking about them. But they're also talking about the relatives because there's an older brother in the house, Leilani, and Billy Joe. So Leilani is not the only one being investigated. We know that now. Yeah, I think it's all pretty much her, in my opinion. I don't know for sure. In my opinion, it's Leilani. But it's good to know that, hey, investigators are looking at the other members of the family as well. What's going to happen to Billy Joe? I don't know, but it doesn't look good. And I don't think that she will ever get custody of those kids again. Maybe the fathers will be able to get custody. I can't speak to the father's character. Maybe it's not best for them to get custody. I don't know. Who knows? But one of the most interesting things, like I pointed out really quickly in the beginning once I started talking about this, was this bipolar mental health stuff. And she was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and anxiety disorder, and she's receiving treatment. That right there should go ahead and let you know where this case is going to go. I am hoping, fingers crossed, that she does not walk away scot-free. We have seen it happen before. We have seen it happen before. But if you want me to be honest with you, I think we're looking at a slight possibility that she gets away with this somehow. And I'm not saying that to be pessimistic. I'm just saying that because we've seen it before. People, like the Casey Anthony stuff, you name it, we've seen people get away with this stuff before. And the way our society is right now, everyone's, bipolar anxiety, she's a victim now. Now Leilani's the victim because she had disorders and she had this and then this happened. Like, for real. I am tired of that. But that victim mentality will get people off in the long run. So let's see what happens. But I can tell you right now, there's going to be a big conversation around Leilani's mental health coming up here soon. Just be prepared. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, though. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.